Hello all, welcome to my video. This is my first video in terms of data science related aspects. So I do feel happy to get connected with you through this particular video. Okay, so in this particular video, I am actually going to share some of my experiential insights pertaining to what are all the different aspects or dimensions that we need to take into consideration whenever we are actually working in a data science driven engagements. Okay, preferably from a IT perspective, particularly from a IT industry perspective. So what I'll do is I'm just I have actually formulated this particular video in this manner of explaining you some of the basic concepts in the world of artificial intelligence, machine learning, deep learning, generative AI, and then followed by data science. And then I will show you the data science life cycle, right? Like if you have, like you have your software development life cycle, SDLC. Data science also has its own life cycle. So I'm actually going to explain you that, followed by some of the that end-to-end process flow. So in the forthcoming videos, probably we can take one by one, right? Python, machine learning, deep learning, generative AI, and also possibly in the forthcoming videos, we can take some of the real-time use cases, some of the real-time scenarios or situations, and then we will think through how is that we can create a model and then try to predict the future using that particular model. Because fundamentally, be it a machine learning or a deep learning or a generative AI, or you use the concepts of data science, all that you are trying to do is you are actually trying to give that intelligence aspect to make data driven decision making to your mission. That is what you are actually trying to do, right? Okay, for example, self driven cars. Okay, so we will go one by one, and this particular video being the very first video in the field of data science from my end, I'm actually going to keep it very simple and touch upon only the basic concepts. Okay, so with this particular context setting, let me now go ahead and share the screen. 1 minute. All right. So here, what I have done is I have just prepared a slide. No, I have just prepared a slide and then kept it ready for you people. Okay. So if you look into this slide, right, we need to know the definitions, no, to some extent, right? What do you mean by artificial intelligence? What do you mean by machine learning, deep learning, generative AI? Right. So artificial intelligence, I have written it over there. Okay. So I'm not going to explain word by word, respecting your years of experience. But then I just want to socialize this particular slide, and then I will go to the notepad, and then I will start explaining some of the concepts, and then I'm also going to show you my LinkedIn article pertaining to multiple LinkedIn articles which I have written till date pertaining pertaining to the field of data science. Okay, so to begin with, why are we using this in the first place? Artificial intelligence enables machine to mimic human intelligence so that machines can take decisions based on the data without manual intervention, right? That is a very important point to be considered. Now, to do this, you need some kind of a proven mechanism, right? So okay, we have a concept called a machine learning, which is a subset of artificial intelligence focused on training some kind of an algorithm so that it will learn from it and then make predictions or decisions based on the data. Okay, so in when I'm going to show you my LinkedIn article, so here I have written some LinkedIn articles saying, sharing my experiential insights on how to build an AI model for predicting the quarterly revenue margins of a IT company, right? So here, if you see here, I have written in a detailed manner. But in this particular slide, I'm just going to cover a high-level view. Okay, now the third thing is we have something called as a deep learning, right? So a deep learning, see, some people are going by the books. Generally, people call deep learning is a subset of a machine learning. But from my experience, deep learning is not a subset. It is an advanced way of a machine learning, advanced model of a machine learning, wherein it is a specialized branch of a machine learning which uses the concepts of a neural networks. A very similar way, how does a human brain read and then understand the concepts, a very similar to it that. So you have in that ANN, CNN, RNN and all, which we will cover in the forthcoming videos. Okay, so understand one thing. So this deep learning is a very specialized branch of machine learning which uses the concept of neural networks. Okay, so if you do a simple Google search and what is neural network, you can understand. And most of the people who come from the engineering background may have actually dealt with these concepts also, right? From computer science and engineering. When I was doing my computer science and engineering 22 years back or 24 years back, we had a separate paper on neural networks, right? And we also had did some projects around it. Okay, and then we have generative AI. The key aspect with the generative AI is using the existing data, using the existing images. You are that particular mission or that particular algorithm has that ability to create new data, new entities based on the existing patterns. Okay, of course, you also need to be good in prompt engineering to write the exact prompt to really be very clear or talk to the machine, tell the machine what does you exactly wanted. Okay, now, having been said this, where does data science fit in here in this particular gamut of landscape? Data science is going to cut across all these three circles: artificial intelligence, machine learning, deep learning. Not just that. If you go to the second slide, together with this, it is you also need a capability of mathematics, statistics, exploratory data analysis, some kind of a visualization technique, everything combined together. Okay, so data science is a multifaceted subject where if you really wanted to be good, then you need to know all these particular different aspects or dimensions. Okay, now let us do one thing just to make things very simple for you people. How does the life cycle of a data science look? See, don't begin the thinking, don't begin your thought process by thinking about algorithms, by thinking about programming languages, by thinking about models. Absolutely no. You need to always begin the journey by defining the problem statement, defining the problem under consideration, right? Okay, why are you doing all these things? Ultimately, to build a AI system which has the ability to predict the future, of course, based on the existing past data, and then give some proactive inferences and insights so that people can take informed choices, so that people can take data driven decision making, right? That is the crux and the funda of data science. Now, okay, now you need to begin the journey by understanding the business problem. Okay, what is the problem that I'm trying to solve by building a predictive model? Okay, see, let me give you a simple example. Okay, I'm not going to get into the I'm not going to get into the debate of, I'm not going to get into the discussion of whether astrology is true or not. Okay, but all that I'm trying to say is, what are you doing in the field of astrology? You are taking a person's birth chart based on the date of birth, time of birth, and place of birth, and then you are trying to see how the planets are positioned in that particular chart and what insights or inferences you are trying to derive out of that particular position based on the conjunction of the planets in a particular house, based on the aspectation of planets on certain houses. Okay, so people who know astrology, the basics of astrology and the horoscope, right, can easily correlate with my thought. All that you are trying to do in astrology is you are trying to look into the data that planets in the position, and you have some well-defined rules be- behind it, and you are trying to predict the future of the person to some extent based on the aspects conjunction of the different planets in the houses. So don't you think it's a data driven decision making, provided the data is correct and complete, and also the person who makes the predictions have the capability to predict based on the rules of astrology. Okay, so I'm not going to get into the subject whether you believe it or not. I'm just sharing my experience. So if you look into this LinkedIn article also, right? For example, right? If you take my own LinkedIn article, sharing my experiential insights on building an AI model for predicting the quarterly revenue margin. So what am I doing here? You come here and then see data collection and cleaning, data pre-processing, model selection, train the model, validate the model, deploy the model. Then you need to uh, maintain it, right? You need to monitor and then no maintain the model based on the feedback loop. So a very similar thought has been put over here. Understand the business problem, collect the data. You need to collect the data from some third-party APIs or internal to your client database. You may have a source system, right? From the CRM. Let's say one of the source system is a CRM. From the CRM, you may need to pull the data, and you cannot take a raw data and build something called as a feature set. Okay, so don't worry if you are unable to understand certain terms and the terminologies which I'm using in this video. In the forthcoming videos, we will be taking one by one and then try to deep dive in it. All that I'm trying to say is you cannot use a raw data as it is. Okay, underline the word as it is to derive insights and patterns for our predictions. Okay, so you need to clean the data, right, and make it deemed fit to build a model. So there you have something like a data cleaning and a pre processing. You have something called as a exploratory data analysis, one of the very important concepts, and almost 30 to 40 percentage of the entire data science engagement time, right, that project time need to be invested. Understand, underline the word invested. Okay, it's an investment. The more you clean the data, the more you make the data no fit enough to build a model, the more you are able to remove the outliers in the data feature data set, the more you focus on your exploratory data analysis. And you also have a concept called a dimensionality reduction. Okay, if you go to my LinkedIn, right? If you come down here, I have written a article on a dimensionality reduction. Okay, so these concepts we will cover later. Okay, in the forthcoming videos. But here you can understand what do you mean by dimensionality reduction. It is reducing the number of variables in a data set, but at the same time retaining is essential meaning, right? That is the the meaning of the term dimensionality reduction. Now, just to stay focused from my end, just ensuring that the recording and other things are going good. Okay, cool. Okay, so here what you need to do, you have a concept called a feature engineering, exploratory data analysis, and then you have your machine learning. You build a model, you train the model, you evaluate the model, again factor the feedback loop, and most importantly, you need to create a visualization reports to present it to the business team or the client, right? So let's do one thing. Let me take a notepad. Okay, so you need a data visualization report, right? It could be a Power BI, or it could be a Tableau report. This report need to be sent to the stakeholders of the project. Stakeholders of the project. It could be client, it could be business, it could be whosoever. Okay, as appropriate to the context, of course. Okay, now let's assume for now you have understood the basics now. Now you at least know, okay, there is something called artificial intelligence, machine learning, deep learning, generative AI, and we have a field called it data science, and there is a data science life cycle. See, as a mentor, my responsibility is to make the subject as much easy as possible, as much interesting as possible, so that you find a way, you find a path on your own. Okay, as a mentor, I will teach you fishing, but it is your responsibility to go and catch the fish. Okay, so that in the future, whenever you are getting hunger, you every time you no need to go and call the fisherman, right? Okay. With that perspective, now what are we trying to do is, in this particular notepad, let me give a high level thought process. What kind of a tools, what kind of a techniques we can use in the field of data science, of course, in IT projects and engagements. Okay, fine. Now, let us begin with a programming language. Okay, I'm just using short forms here by and large wherever possible. Okay, okay. When it comes to programming languages, we have Python, or we have something called R programming language. See, when I was doing my executive MBA in Great Lakes Institute of Management, and when I was actually doing my advanced strategic management program in Indian Institute of Management, IIM Kozhikode, I was extensively using R programming languages. However, in the field of data science, my experience says always go for Python over R, because Python has lot of inbuilt libraries which will give you the capability in a much more convenient manner. Okay, so here I always prefer Python. Okay, and one of the IDE what I use is PyCharm. So if you see my laptop, I have it here, right? PyCharm Community Edition, right? So uh, one second. Yeah. So one of the IDE to write the code and then compile the, see, for Java people, right? When I was working in Java J2E long back, we generally typically use Eclipse IDE. Along the similar line of thought, in the world of Python, you can install a PyCharm and then try to write the Python. See, all these things will be covered in the upcoming videos. Here, I'm not trying to socialize you people to the index page of the book. Okay, in the forthcoming videos we will take chapter by chapter and then we will go through the book, and if you are interested, you can might as well sign up for my data science mentorship program, which I'm going to begin from January 2025. Okay, I'm actually making this video on 3rd September 2024. I'm going to start my own data science mentorship program to mentor and coach data analyst and for aspiring data scientist role. If you are interested, you can might as well sign up for my program. Okay, now programming language is Python, IDE is PyCharm, and you have something called a Jupyter also, right? Jupyter. You have lot of IDEs. Okay, or Studio, Spider. Okay, so these are all some of the IDEs which are available. But if you take my projects, I use Python and I use PyCharm just to make life very simple. Okay, all right. Now, definitely you need to know the concepts of machine learning, right? So, for now, what we will do in the world of machine learning, you have something called as a supervised learning, something called as a supervised learning, something called as an unsupervised learning, and something called as a uh, reinforcement learning. Okay, so these things I will explain in the forthcoming video. Now, machine learning, you have something called supervised, unsupervised, and you also have something called as a reinforcement learning. And most importantly, here we can even focus on clustering algorithms. Okay, based on the nature of the problem statement. Okay, whether it's a classification or depending on the flavor of it, we can actually proceed further. Okay, now somewhere in this particular slide, you also had a mathematics, right? So here, definitely, you need to have a very good knowledge on statistics, probability areas, linear algebra to begin with, and also differential calculus. Okay, calculus. So these are the areas you may need to know. And in data visualization, I already put a Power BI and a Tableau report. Of course, here probably some of the libraries which you need to be aware is matplotlib, ggplot, and a cbond. Okay, so these things I will explain you later. For now, I'm just trying to cover on a high level view. Okay, now here, why I have mentioned a clustering algorithm. If you are good in clustering algorithm, you can incorporate the concepts of a neural network. It means you are moving from the machine learning to deep learning, right? So from that perspective, you may need to know here. Okay. So these are all the things which you need to know to begin with. Now you think practically. From where will you get the data? The source data, right? You need to have a technique, right? You need to have a technique which will enable you, which will empower you to get the data, and then you do some data cleaning, pre-processing, blah blah blah. So here we have a concept called web scraping. Okay. So here what we can possibly do is, you have a tool itself by name is Scrappy, or you can use URL lib libraries, or you have something called as a beautiful soup. Okay. So these things we will cover later, but at least try to understand on a high level. And some of the frequently used libraries are Panda, NumPy, Matplotlib. See, I'm just giving some examples. Okay, these things, exact details. See, for example, if I'm making a video on Python, only for Python, I'm going to make minimum 7 to 8 videos. Okay, if I'm going to make a playlist or a web series on machine learning, only machine learning, you will be having 7 to 8 minimum videos. There we will try to cover in a detailed manner. Okay. So these are all different aspects which you may need to keep in mind. Now, apart from this, what other important concepts come to your mind? If you go back to this PPT, is there any other area we have mm, no missed out? Yes, we have missed out an area for a data analysis, right? So here you do something called as a feature engineering. You do something called a exploratory data analysis. Okay, so these are all some of the points which you may need to keep in mind. Now, when it comes to exploratory data analysis, you also have a concept called a data wrangling. Okay, so if you go here, I'm just closing the unwanted stuffs. I'll just take the relevant one. So if you go here, let me show you. I have written an article here. See, just go to this link. See, all these links will be mentioned in the description of the video when I'm going to upload it. Here I have written something on what are the similarities and differences between the web scraping and the web wrangling in the field of data science, right? So I have given the similarities. I have taken the difference from my real-time sheet from my data science mentorship program, and then I have pasted it here. At least you can go through this article on a high level to understand. Okay, there is something called web scraping, wherein you are trying to extract the raw data from the internet, from the web pages, whereas in the web wrangling, you are going to focus on cleaning the data, transforming the data, and organizing the data so that it is deemed fit for further downstream activities. What will be the exact downstream activity? That will vary from use case to use case. Okay, of course, it will have a pattern of similarity based on the data science life cycle. However, the exact activities will come from the context, right? Okay. Now, just to think through, had we missed out anything? I think we covered, right? We have covered collecting the data, little bit on cleaning the data, exploratory data analysis, feature engineering. We talked about machine learning, three types of algorithms, and then you are going to build the model. But before you build the model, okay, after you build the model, analyze the model, you need to deploy the model, right? So one of the very important point we need to keep in mind is deployment. Many companies use AWS. Some companies use Azure also to deploy the model. So that what you in the when it comes to AWS, what are we trying to do? We are trying to build an easy to instance, and using that particular instance, we have something called as a flask model or flask framework. Using that particular model, you can create an API service, so that my front end can actually readily consume this particular REST API call, right? So here in the deployment, AWS, Azure, and you actually, let's say, you create your APIs, so that it can be readily consumed by the front end. Okay, this is the concept. Now I have told you this a high level, I have explained you the PPT. Now what we will do with this particular understanding, let us go to my LinkedIn articles. So see here, I have created some templates, right? You can see an image of the templates here. I'll show you that in a real time. If you go here I have created a folders, right? Data collection and understanding. Within everything, I have created a templates for it. And I also created some user guide, which is going to set the context for how to use that particular template, right? So data collection and data understanding, data preparing and cleaning, right? So on and so forth. Model development, monitoring and maintenance. Say for example, when it comes to model development, if you want to know, have a checklist, and you need to have a checklist in place, probably go here and then take this particular template. Okay, so here, wait a minute. Here I have given what is the context. This particular checklist items are, see, anyone can create a PPT. Anyone can create a PPT, and nowadays we have so many tools to create a PPT. But to create a real-time checklist and to create a real-time template, you actually should have been done it somewhere. If not, from where will you get the thoughts, right? So what I have done, for the entire data science life cycle, I have created checklists and then kept it ready, so that when I put my use case into the funnel, it's like a funnel, right? When I put my use case into the funnel of data preparation, data collection, data preparation, then you do an exploratory data analysis, build a model, train the model, deploy the model, monitor and maintain the model based on the feedback loop. I have ready-made checklist over here, right? So what we can do now is, you go here. This is what I was actually trying to explain in this particular article, right? You problem definition, and within each and every phase of the data science life cycle, what are the templates to be used? I have actually mentioned it there. Let me close this. Let me go to the next article. So you see, I'm just trying to show you some real-time templates, some PPT to gain that basic concepts, and then trying to socialize you to the LinkedIn article, so that in one single video, for the time that we are investing here, the value derivation comes better, right? Okay. So here what I have done is, I have given the phase, and together with the template, I have written what is the input. What, see, any kind of a subject, the one of the easy way to master the subject is, hey, what is this particular subject all about? What is the input given? What is the process exactly used? And what is the output or outcome expected? Or rather, the other way, what is the input given? What is the output expected? What is the process or mechanism by which I can take this input and then render that particular output. Any subject for that matter, be it agile, be it data science, big data, Hadoop, cloud computing, analytics. There is a no, there is a way to learn things fast. Okay, be clear on the input, be clear on the output expected, and then you build your process to move the audience from this input to the output, right? Same thing here. All right. So here I have given the input, I have given the process, I have given the output or outcome for all of these individual phases over there. So these links will be shared to you. Go through this particular links. See here. Okay, I'm just saying in a real-time data science project, what are all the different roles involved typically? Of course, based on your context and domain and other aspects, these roles may slightly change. However, these are all the different roles which we can envision in a typical data science project, right? So here, if you see, you can understand the life cycle. This is the flow and which particular user persona, because data engineer is a user persona, which means a role, which particular user persona involves in which particular phases of the SDLC life cycle, like I have explained it over here. Okay, just go through. See here I have mentioned, choose the appropriate machine learning algorithms, whether it's a classification type or it's a clustering algorithm or is a regression. See, the problem or challenge what happens with the industry is, when I take interview for a data science kind of a role, candidates know lot of algorithms, but given a use case, given a situation or a scenario, which one to use where and to what extent, and most importantly, why. That why part is very important. If you're very clear on the why part, then the what part and the how part can be derived from it, because every algorithm has its own pros and cons. Every algorithm comes with its own limitations, and you need to know how to take a trade-off call dynamically on the go, right? So here I have mentioned the entire process over here. In the forthcoming videos, we can pick it up one by one. So here I have given some simple use cases. Okay, one is that for a predictive maintenance for IT infrastructure, artificial intelligence driven cyber security. See, understand one thing, as I mentioned in the earlier, right? Be it data science, machine learning, deep learning, generative AI, and a large language model, LLM. Ultimately, what are we trying to do? That end goal need to be very clear. We are trying to build a AI model that has that self inbuilt intelligence to make decisions based on the data without manual intervention. That is the goal, right? Or at least with a minimal manual intervention. That is the goal. So when you go through these articles, you will come to know the feel factor behind it, because everything it's very difficult for me to explain in a single YouTube video. And someone has written a comment, and I have also reply to their comment. You can go through this. Okay, now before we wind up this particular video, what am I trying to do is just go through this particular article also, so that you will come to know the connection between all the layers, right? Artificial intelligence, machine learning, deep learning, generative AI, and your data science as a discipline is going to cut across all these four circles, right? So just go through this on a high level. You at least you will be able to understand what am I trying to tell. Because when it comes to the model selection, you need to know different kind of algorithms, like, and you also need to know like what is the difference between CNN, RNN, ANN, because ANN typically supports only text. Okay, whereas if you take a CNN, it is going to support your images also. And if you take RNN, recurrent neural network, it is going to support a kind of a time series kind of a data, right? Time series kind of a pattern. So which one to use where, to what extent, and for most importantly, why. So these are all these links. Just go through these particular links. You will come to understand on a high level. Okay. So with this particular understanding, hope I made a honest attempt, of course, to socialize you to the basics of data science and artificial intelligence. Now, in the forthcoming videos, I will take piece by piece, uh, and then we will try to go depth. And one more thing also, no, you also you may also need to have that aptitude to do reverse engineering. What I meant is, instead of if you go to this notepad, right, instead of learning all these things in a silo, why don't you, of course, once you get at least a good grip on the subject, you can take a use case, a particular business problem, a situation or a scenario, and then you funnel through that particular use case in terms of the programming language, in terms of the machine learning technique, the algorithm to use, what kind of probability probability related areas can be applied, what kind of visualization reports can be created. So the more you solve the use cases, the better will become your pragmatic thinking. Because see, there is always something called a purist way of doing things versus a pragmatic way of doing things. In a real-time IT industry, both from an interview clearing perspective and also from executing a real-time project, you need to be more tilted towards pragmatic approach. Purist approach, anyone, you can find it out from the Google pages or any other links also, right? So try to solve some use cases together with me when I'm going to build this particular YouTube channel what I created. Typically for a data science mentorship program, you can might as well subscribe to the channel if you want, and then keep learning as a part of a continuous improvement. Okay. All right. So with this particular video, I'm now going to end this particular video. Hope to see you back soon in my next forthcoming series of data science data science mentorship program. Okay. Cheers. Bye.